We all got on Dixon. Got to make sure we shout out Dixon.
Dick, son.
Welcome back to another episode of Southern Tulane.
S2L.
That is Southern, the number 2, Lane, all one word. Buck.
Yo.
Buck and Randy.
Randy B.
Buck Owens.
What's up? I'm DJ. How are y'all this evening?
Doing good.
Man, just having a blast.
Thankful for a mild day.
Smell that.
It smells like outside.
Smells like Southern
You know
Tulane.
why it smells like outside?
It smells like outside.
You smell like unburnt fuel.
It does. What you been doing?
Well, I know that's not what you pulled up
got the
in
ride
because
today.
I heard the diesel.
Yeah.
I got no.
You got the ride
You got to
today?
get the riding in before the sun goes down.
Yeah.
It's still cold when the sun goes down.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
How warm did it get down this way?
We were 65 today.
Yeah, it was
That's
easily.
7.
That's what
68,
we
something
are.
like that.
That's what we were
Yep.
way up north. I actually broke a sweat today, walking around outside.
Trying to tilt the
What's he
microphone
doing?
over. No.
Don't tilt. It's not articulating.
No, that one does not. That one does not.
At least it sounds good. It makes your voice sound good.
Yeah, when you get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, that's what she said.
So you rode? How did you do a little loop or something?
Spit it out.
Yeah, I got home and there was some checks in the mailbox that I needed to run to the bank. So, well, I got a little while. Weather's not too bad. I'll get out and ride, and just rode to the bank, made my deposit, and rode on.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think my motorcycles told me today they were going to sell themselves if I didn't know. If I didn't get on them to
figured
ride.
I'd see you out.
I wanted to. I'm not going to tell you where I was and what I was doing. So
Fair enough.
Okay.
But it's supposed to be
sure.
pretty mild here over the next couple of weeks. Or
Yeah.
the weekend's supposed to look real good. I've got a umpire camp to train the newbies on Saturday for a few hours, but Sunday looks good.
See, apparently I don't have to know anything about calling baseball because he could teach me at camp.
Let me just tell you something. Matter of fact, Brent Duffner, shout out Brent. He's my partner. So he texted me earlier today and said, I saw you had some time blocked out for your trip to Daytona. He said, I hope they don't stick me with one of the newbies. There's nothing more frustrating than somebody that don't know the signs, don't know the game well, hasn't called. And I know they have to learn. We had to learn at some point, but oh my God, that's frustrating. Same thing as a coach, and you've coached. We've all, when you got a new player.
You think it's frustrating being an umpire, standing in the third base box.
Yeah.
Well, this delicate skin burns too easily. I'd have to wrap up or sunscreen every 30 minutes to keep from roasting.
That $600 a weekend, though, sometimes can buy a lot of sunscreen.
Yeah. I take that back. I'm going to start watching some baseball, learn some calls, strike.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all about the animation. We give, I will never forget some of my first tournaments that I called. I was kind of, I wasn't really nervous because I know the game and I played. And so I'm calling and just kind of doing it by the book, kind of stoic. And I will never forget this pitcher. Was doing pretty good, and he'd struck one out. I rung him up, and struck the second one out and rung him up. Man, the fans were going crazy, and they were all excited for him. And I was like, man, I need to be excited for this kid. Like, this is cool. Because it was like 1, 2, 3 out, 1, 2, 3 out. So the next one he threw, so this was like, so 6, this would have been 7th strike in a row, 8th strike in a row. Dude, let me tell you something. He hit that 9th one in a row. I come up out of my stance. I yanked back on the sign. I gave it a scream. And
Did you give it the little honk?
oh, I did. I gave it all kind of animation, man. You'd have thought Leslie Nielsen from the movies was, was giving it to us. Yeah, that's right.
I remember that little dance.
That was good stuff. Oh, yeah, and not only the fans had already got him pumped up, but it was yeah, I don't know, empowered is the word, but yeah, he thought he was invincible at that point.
How old was this kid?
13.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called an ump out one time in a game. He had gotten pretty animated behind the plate with my team was hitting, and then we smashed line drive or something down the gap. And, everything settled down. She made it to third or something. I was like, "Hey, Billy, like we need that same level of enthusiasm on this side of the ball."
That's right. Hey guys, guess what I got in the mail today?
Some hog stuff. Is that what I
got
see?
that the other day.
I did. So I was inquiring about some of their rides, and it kept saying, "Well, you got to go to this place, and you got to hold up the membership guidebook." And I'm like, "Where's this membership guidebook?"
I haven't gotten that.
Came in the mail today. So if I do any of the rides that Hog does, and I get to the dealership or the destination that they require, I have to hold this up and the sign, take a selfie.
I saw the one
to make it official.
I saw the one for the Leonard Skinner monument when I was flipping through there. That one's kind of close.
Well, this one goes over all the destination challenges, and I guess I just ignored all this over the years, not really looked at it, but this has a lot to do with all the rides and things that you can do, and
Earn points.
Yeah, oh yeah. And trust me, if you don't collect points, then that's a big deal. I've got about $2,000 worth of points sitting on my credit card right now. So if I get about 10 times that many, I might be able to buy another bike.
Or a T-shirt.
Or a T-shirt. That's true too. A Daytona T-shirt.
A lot of
probably you'll get a T-shirt for those 30,000 points.
A lot of credit card purchases.
I will say though that on the mileage, on the mileage topic, which is part of the membership guide, they send the badges or the patches and everything to put on. But last year I got a $50 gift certificate and a $100 gift certificate for one for each bike for the mileage I put on them. Well, I didn't realize they expired, so they did. So I called up Hog. And I told the lady, I said, look, I let them expire. I said, she said, well, we can't renew the certificate. But she said, what I can do is move those points to your Hog points. So you'll have money there. Mm-hmm. So she did that and it worked. She said, that's not what we normally do. But she said, I'll do it this time. And I said, well, I'll know next time that when I get these certificates in, they have a deadline. Yeah. An expiration date, which I think was only like 30 days from the time you get them. So
how does the mileage thing work? At the dealership, because you got the patches with the 1,000, 5,000.
Yeah, I get to 25,000 mile this year.
So
they've already sent me the email and everything, telling me what was coming, but it won't. I don't know, for some reason it takes like 3 months for it to actually arrive.
So how is that tracked?
You do a dealer sponsored ride, and somebody from the dealership will check your odometer and then log that mileage on their website or something.
Yeah,
that's the gist of it.
You have to sign up, be Hog, and then at the beginning of each year, you just turn your mileage into your service manager.
Okay, so I'm a
and
Hog.
She reports it.
I'm a Hog, but I didn't know about this. Like I've seen your patches, but
yep. Mm-hmm. So if you go up to like Riders, we go to Riders, and Angel is the service person over there.
Okay,
I've gotten to know her to the point where this year I just text her my mileage, and not sure if I'm supposed to do that or she's supposed to do it, but she took it. Put it in, and I got an email about 2 days later that said that they've received my information. Here's the miles I put down, and here's what I'll be getting in the mail.
Yeah.
So,
I think the last time she reported mine, I'd gone on one of the Romeo group rides.
Yeah.
She checks them in.
It has to come from them. You can't submit it. It has to come from the dealership.
Okay, so you have to you have to do a dealer sponsored ride. That's what starts it.
I don't know. I think there is some capacity with that. I don't know exactly what that is, but I know that you have to start it with the dealer. So you have to go over there and say, I want to be a part of this. You got to show your hog number. They put it in the system and all that kind of stuff. And then every January 1st or first week or whatever, just turn your mileage in, and then you'll get, you'll start getting your.
Yeah. And it's got, if you do a dealer sponsored ride, that there's different, they weight the points differently or something.
Same thing with these events in the membership. If and when you get one, you'll go through here, you'll find that some of these are calculated out, and there's mileage recognitions, lifetime mileage recognitions, and then you kind of give you an idea about what you can do to get points, and then what those points equate to, I guess, to some degree. But it's all online. If you go to Hog 365, I think is what it is. It'll walk you all through all this as well.
Well, I should be getting my packet of fun, cool stuff in the mail any day now because I haven't gotten it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you keep your membership up, they'll send it every year.
Yeah, I'll get a certain number of points for checking in at the museum, and you check in at dealerships.
You can check into each dealership once a year.
Yeah.
So now it starts over. So every dealership that we went to last year, I checked in. So I'll start it over now.
Yeah, I can't. I looked last time I checked in. I looked to see how many different dealerships I've checked in at. It told me, but I don't remember.
Let me tell you what's fun. You're going down the interstate, and you're like, I don't have time to stop at this dealership. But if you'll get you, as you're driving by and hit that check-in button, it'll clock you.
I think you and I did that once or twice on the way back from Sturgis.
Yes. Yeah, I did it on several times going out there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's as long as you're within that kind of
that geofence,
whatever that is. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So
I doubt that's what it is.
So do we want to, I know we have a couple of topics we want to talk about. Do we want to dive off into any more of the 2025 models and talk about them? I've had a chance to do some looking, but we don't have to. We can make that another one. I'd like to actually go to the dealership, I think, and look at some.
I would too, before we try to talk more in depth about it. I've gotten some interesting feedback from some of my other buddies that ride, and they've checked them out. Haven't been to the dealerships yet to check them out, just online.
Right.
And everybody's raving about that purple. What is it?
Everybody likes the purple.
Yeah.
The poison berry is the one that I'm getting a lot of information on. The purple, the actual purple one.
There's Mystic
Purple?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the CVO one, though. That's the one that came out earlier.
Yeah.
But they look good. I mean, look, and it's new and shiny. It's, it looks good.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the only two. So my takeaways from the release: one, I expected more out of the Softails. I would have liked to have seen, some traction control, some ride modes, something with the Softails.
Right.
I feel like that's overdue. I don't know how I feel on the limited that they. Is it an ultra or is it a limited? It's an ultra.
There is one more year of ultra limited that has the old.
Yeah, it's got the old fairing.
The old fairing. I think they had more in stock.
So now
on
it's
the shelf.
a Street Glide Ultra. I like the lower fairings, but the rest of it, I feel like they kind of designed the lower fairings and gave up on the rest of it. It's kind of my takeaway. And then the ST Pan Am. Again, I was kind of underwhelmed.
I was too.
I was hoping for more, and it seems.
But I mean,
they
actually,
put street tires on it.
What could they have done to it? Now the rumor was on the street tires. The rumor was that's what was coming.
Yeah.
They're trying to do match with the Duke series from the KTM and some of the others. Just they want it to be more of or have an opportunity to be more of a street bike for the younger generation. But I mean, you had a CVO Pan America last year that was pretty nicely done.
Yeah, it looked good.
I mean, what do you do to do better than that? Or, to even run along beside it. So I think they were doomed to fail with a Pan Am release no matter what.
Maybe.
I just, I can't think of anything they could have done that would have been like, oh, another year of the Pan America. And And they have abandoned in the last several years any possibilities, it appears, of a CVO and a Softail.
I mean, who's to say what's going to happen next year? I do feel like the Softail is due for an update. If you look at historically what they've done, that big update should come by way of a CVO. So I think it's coming. Maybe they just weren't ready for it yet, or maybe it's just not on their hot list. But I would have liked to have seen a CVO lowrider ST introduced with, more bells and whistles.
Yeah, I agree. You know me, I want a CVO breakout.
I was about to ask you if you have chewed on that anymore.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to see. That's one of the holdouts that I did for making any deal on the 24 models, was because I thought, well, they're due. It's been 7 years, and they do not have a Softail CVO with an M8 in it. All right, so all the CVOs that they did in the Softails were all prior to an M8 motor.
Yeah.
So does that matter? Is that on their statistical list that says, hey guys, I don't know, but I think at some point, I agree with DJ. I think at some point, I think they're going to have to, and I think they're probably going to build it up and build it up. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to have been a common pattern down through the last few years that they have, and we're talking about this and kind of wasn't, but now we are, that they've come with the baggers and did all of them and then went down to the Softails. And is that because when we started doing our podcast a year or so ago now, we talked about it being kind of a bagger's world today? Even you have introduced in our podcast here and go, what's up, Bagger Nation? Because that's just what seems to be predominant. Is that why?
Yes, I do feel like their highest margin is probably in the baggers. And if you're talking CVO, there's a whole lot more you can do to quote unquote make a CVO in a bagger that you can't do with Softail. I mean,
is that because you can hide all the?
Well, no, I mean
stuff.
Softails don't have bags to make them power. Softails don't have, bags to make them stretched, or whatever. I mean, what are you going to do to Softail other than throw the whole catalog of chrome components at it?
Yeah,
that's a very good point.
And don't do power locks, and
well, it's the same thing with all the things you want to see. I want like the ride modes and all that. Granted, they could design a little dash to put up there, but they don't have all of that fairing to hide stuff.
And
in.
maybe they assume that the lowrider ST rider, maybe those ride modes and stuff aren't important to them. But I don't know how you can say that. And then sport bikers are, almost every new sport bike out there has got traction control and launch control and
mission control,
wheelie control.
Yeah, all that. And then what?
I don't know. I lost my train of thought there.
We had dog interruption.
The Pan Am's got the traction control and wheelie control and all that in it. So,
yeah,
I mean, they've got the technology. I don't understand other than profit margin is going to be narrowed, or maybe they don't want the publicity of we're going to come out with this new model and it's going to be $3,000 more and it's already at the top of its game. I don't know.
Now you may be hitting the mark.
Yeah.
So let's think about this. Does the Indian Scout, does the KZ, does the 650 Kawasaki, the Honda, I mean, do they all have all that stuff right now?
I don't know.
I haven't looked.
I haven't looked.
But I've been, every time we go to a rally, I go to an Indian dealership if there's one nearby. I went to Daytona last year, went to Sturgis. Mm-hmm. I don't think they've got any more on them than what Harley does. So is it not just a Harley thing? Maybe it's a Softail or that
cruiser segment.
Yeah, the cruiser segment. That's right. Yeah. Interesting.
At what point? Would we want to see a CVO in every model? And at what point does it? I don't know. Maybe dilute the.
No.
No.
Randy only wants to see a CVO in the models he wants, and he doesn't want a CVO in any other model because then it would become diluted.
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking. Does it?
Do we see a problem with that? I do not see a problem with that. I mean, like I wanted them to stop making the Road Glide CVO. I got one. We don't need any more.
No need for another one.
I mean, it would make those CVOs less special, right? If there was a CVO model in every CVO option in every model, the ones that are currently, you see what I'm asking?
Frankly, they've kind of already done that.
Well, so to that point, if you go back, there has been a CVO about every year. Now I'm testing my own knowledge because I've done some look into this and some research. I think there was a couple of years that they went through where there wasn't a CVO in everything. But the last several years, there's been, the Street and Road Glide both have gotten one.
Mm-hmm. Now the Pan America.
The Pan America's gotten one.
No trikes, though.
My understanding was historically it was the CVO line in the Street Glide, the Road Glide, and then one other. And they would change up that one other every year. There has been a CVO Tri-Glide.
Okay.
There has been CVO Breakouts. There has been CVO Heritage.
Yep.
There has been CVO
Fat Boys.
V-Rods.
And some of the bikes that are not, I don't think are in
production
anymore. Yeah.
But I guess the past couple 3 years, I haven't seen anything other than the
baggers.
What
we currently know
and
is,
it will be, it'll be Street Glide, Road Glide, and occasionally we've gotten, or have they always done the Ultra Limited and a CVO?
Well, I think they
CVO
have
limited.
Up until the last couple of years. There has not been a true Ultra Limited CVO since 21.
Okay.
Nope, 22. In 21 did 22 because 22 had the yellow Road Glide, which was full Ultra Limited, and a couple of more. But I don't think in 23 or 24 they did. They were all Street or Road Glide, and you had to buy a tour pack for it.
So never had a Road King CVO?
Yes,
Yeah.
they have.
Absolutely.
Did y'all say that? I missed it.
No, we didn't, but they have.
Yeah.
Well, one of the bikes that's currently in heavy production that I don't think there's a CVO model of it in its current FLX number or lettering is the LRS.
Yeah.
Because it was something else years ago that now it's not, but they have not yet produced a CVO in that particular acronym or that particular
And it's such
model.
Especially
very popular.
the ST, very, very popular bike and kind of a cool bike. I kind of like them.
I mean, you used to have
but
you had the Deuce, you had the Wide Glide, you had the Super Glide, you had all those bikes, and all down through the years, they all had CVO versions, and they had anniversary versions, but they eventually morphed into what we now know as the LRSs, LRS-ST, LRSTs. Did I say that right?
Lowrider ST.
Yeah, that's right. So basically, the lowrider production model is took all their places.
Okay.
And it's that's what John Eli rides, and the Woodies have got one, and you see them all the time. They're popular. Here's the thing: the STs come with the 117s in them. They have the bigger motors, like some of the other bikes. So, that's a lot of power with a smaller, lighter weight bike.
Wow.
So pretty cool there.
Yeah.
Well, I just really feel like in the name of what our podcast was going to be about tonight.
No script.
Yeah. That it's just not fair that there's not
Prepare yourself.
a CVO in every category. In the name of diversity
And equality. And they disincluded.
Right.
Yes. There should be. I think there should be some more
transition
yeah.
there. I see how you transition.
What he was doing was he was biding his time.
Right.
Right. So yeah, that's where we were planning to go with this conversation tonight. Was the hot topic of DEI. Randy's done some research over here. He's going to be able to give us all kinds of important info.
Got your reading glasses? Yeah, they're on your face. Yeah,
They are.
Yeah.
When I first started looking at it, everything I looked that said, where was the origin of the DEI initiative that the United States currently, well, prior to January 20th, was enforcing.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting to me. What'd you find out?
Everything I found out said that in 1960, John F. Kennedy signed it into place. And I'm going, no, thank you. That's not where it came from.
I didn't learn that in my history class.
That version was called affirmative action.
Right.
And they want to peg the DEI to that. They want to tie it into that. But I've got news for you.
Completely different.
It is nothing close to what John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King wanted when it came to affirmative action and equality for folks in 1960.
Right.
Yeah.
It has morphed into something detrimental to this country.
I really feel like people have missed the boat so much on that because, we're in Alabama, right? And
the heart of
we've been
civil rights world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
we're
Facebook
2.5 hours
or
north
been,
of Selma,
right?
To give everybody kind of a geographical where we're located. So
Trump
we're all
rolls
about
back
it.
the DEI stuff. And have y'all seen the just insanity that's been going around about Trump saying we're no longer going to teach the Air Force about the Tuskegee Airmen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not what he said.
That's kind of like when all the statues were taken down. We're no longer going to teach about Andrew Jackson. Well, that's what they meant when they took a statue. That's not what Trump meant.
Yeah.
At all.
It's
people are losing
that was
their
taken
minds.
way out of context. And I did some research, read about it, and look, he backed out the DEI so that the people that were in Air Force training, like there was one segment of their training that was DEI that included like a chapter about the Tuskegee Airmen, and it came out of the curriculum. And so everybody's like, well, he doesn't want anybody to learn about the Tuskegee Airmen. No, that's not it. It was included in this curriculum, and he backed that curriculum out. And then by the end of the week, it had been reintroduced in another segment of the curriculum.
The Air Force put it back in.
Yeah. But everybody took that one little snippet and said, okay, we're going to run with this.
That's right. It's no different than somebody taking, your wife and mine are teachers. If they decide they're going to no longer teach from a book and that book is removed, well, who's to say there's not something in that book that could probably be taught? But in general, they have to make a decision, and the decision is to move that book out of the shelf, off the shelf, and that's what happened there. If you look at it overall, in the strategy of how things have gone, Toyota and several other major corporations since like last August had already started scaling back the DEI initiatives and offloading them. And then after the election took place and they kind of knew what was coming, many more started on board. And then, of course, once January 20th hit, now that's just Meta, McDonald's, Ford, Harley Davidson, they're all DEI is out the door. And of course, all the pro-DEI folks are jumping on board going, well, I guess, we no longer going to have diversity, equity, and equality and inclusion. Not in your form. Let's reinvent what that term stands for and about what equality stands for, and then we might can talk.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is there was no definition of what's going to be inclusive. Because I feel like you do have to draw a line somewhere and say, all right, we're good with this up until this point, and at this point, it's just too much.
Yeah,
It's too much of outside of reality. It's too much unknown. It's too much far side. However you want to coin that, I don't know exactly how to coin it, but you know what I mean? Like you let people live in this alternate state of reality, and you put up with it a little while, and then they keep going and keep going, and you give them an inch and they take a mile
That's
kind
what
of
I was
deal.
about to say.
But at some point, you got to say, you know what, we're not going down this rabbit trail. Like it's at some point, it's got to be black and white.
Well, the squeaky wheel gets
was
the
not-
grease.
That was not racial, but
So,
not my intent.
but it is. I mean, but it is. In essence, it's. Let me give you an example, and this will take me just a second, but I'll try to make it fast. In the 1980s, I had a friend of mine. He was older than I was in the fire department in the city of Birmingham. He had taken the captain's test several times. Didn't get promoted. There were the African Americans in Birmingham that filed a lawsuit that they were not getting an opportunity. They won the lawsuit. So and look, it is what it is. One thing that you won't find from me is I won't skirt the truth. And this is truth and fact. For those at the time, they dumbed down the test so they could get more of the African Americans in management, upper leadership. All right. A few years later, fast forward, the same friend of mine who'd been turned down numerous times turns around. They all file a lawsuit. This is how screwed up we were and still are to a degree in this capacity. They won. Now he gets 10 years back pay where he should have been promoted years ago. And there's been determination that he was not allowed to promote because of his skin color. So it's just a fight. We can't find an equal ground somewhere. You can call the name Martin Luther King, you can call it John F. Kennedy, you can call whatever you want to, but the face of it is, and the name of it is equality for all.
Yeah.
But
That's what it should be.
all right, so let me.
But that's a broad spectrum of.
Sure. Is equality even attainable?
Should it be attainable?
Like I've had conversations with numerous people about all kinds of subjects, and I feel like, all right, we started this conversation of this podcast talking about baseball, so let's go back to sports. Okay, equality is. I don't think it's attainable there. Every parent is going to do as much for their kids as they can do. And so the kids of the parents that can afford the additional hitting practices, the additional clinics, the additional, all this other, the best gear out there, the personal trainers, the chiropractors, the therapists, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. The protein powders and shakes and all the
pre-workouts,
supplements,
the post-workouts, all those
right.
things. You're going to provide as much as you can for your kids to give them the competitive advantage.
Correct.
Of course.
And that's just always going to be a thing. As soon as somebody else steps in and says, okay, these people are less fortunate, we're going to provide that for them. We're going to build them a gym and a weight room. Well, then the parents are going to step in and say, okay, well, I've got to give my kids another competitive advantage. And whatever that may be. It may be
right.
additional tutoring or more schooling or training online or something so their grades come up higher or something. I feel like there's always going to be a competition there, and you can't take that away.
You're right. The kind of equality I think that some of these almost morons, I guess I just said it, but these people that are losing their mind, that kind of equality is, I don't think, attainable. I agree with you. There are three things you have absolutely zero control over. You can't control when you're born. You can't control who you're born to, who your parents are. and you have no control over the socioeconomical status that you're born into, then what makes the difference? Hard work and opportunity, being born into a more affluent family. So I agree with you. I don't think that kind of equality is attainable now. Equality in our approach to human rights, basic human rights, I maybe. But when it comes to my opportunity over your opportunity, I think it's a hard sell.
Yeah.
It's hard to, equal. Take the word equality and let's back it to equal. You and I are not equal. You're 6'4".
Yeah.
I'm 5'8", 180. We're not equal. Can you ride a motorcycle and I ride one? Yes. Now we're equal. So I think as human beings, there are things that we can be equal at.
Right.
And I'll give you another example. And all you women out there in social media land, listen hard to me, because I've been on this for the last few weeks and months, because it's really beginning to piss me off. Just gonna say it.
I think I know where you're going.
Women spent decades. We want equal opportunities. We want equal pay. We want, don't objectify us. Don't demean us. We're not a sexual object. All right.
I knew where he's going.
And they made a lot of progress.
Yeah.
That was needed. All right. Let's just go and say it was needed.
Mm-hmm.
Are they equal to a man? No. That's a long drawn out no.
Mm-hmm.
Can they do some of the work? Maybe, but the results won't necessarily be the same. So we can argue and discuss that for days on end. Well, my point about this is that we push so hard and now we live in a social media world that all we can do is see jello jiggling and camel toes running all over social media. And we've just reverted right back. Don't objectify us, but watch this. Look at here.
Yeah.
Do you like this? So where do you draw a line? Like a smirky grin on your face.
I think my algorithm's different than his.
No. Yeah. It's there. It's there.
Yeah.
Whether you want to algor it or not. So the problem is that we are equal in our minds when it's convenient to us.
Oh, 100%.
So it's kind of like DJ said, I want a CVO in what I want, and that's really all the ones that need to have CVOs.
Yeah.
So I need it to be equal, and I need the playing field to be even when it's concerning my stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
The rest of it, who cares? Give the advantage to John, Joe, Jeannie, or whoever.
Man, we deal with that every day, though.
But
don't we?
It is
It's a big deal when it affects me.
Right. That's right. Or if I have something going on in my life, and this is where our existence in the last 16 years has come to. And yes, that 16 years means that it started in 08, 09, which was the beginning of Obama's administrations, where things started to kind of unravel. And you started having people, I just love seeing a male or female, depending on what they say they are, falling down in the middle of the floor and screaming hysterically. You're too loud. You're offending me. I need my safe space. Where did we come to that that's okay? Back to the DEI stuff. We're human. And that's how God made us. Or whomever your creator out there you believe created you, spit you into existence, or whatever. We are all made up of different strands of DNA. And when you're different, listen to me now, I'm about to say something really powerful. When you're different, you're going to be different. I don't know what else to say. There's three of us sitting here. We don't look alike. There's a few parts of our bodies that are similar. without getting too, they probably don't even look alike. All right. You know, if Jeremy was here, he'd be talking about bleaching his booty hole.
Oh,
All right?
man.
Probably shouldn't be talking about that. I'm not sure.
Woo.
Kids don't listen to this. He did it in text message the other night. Point is that we're all different and we're all going to be different.
Of course. See,
Where we have entered into the new society is that I want to be different and I want you to approve me.
that's, yeah.
So that's a good segue into what I wanted to bring up tonight, because I told y'all something. You know, this hadn't really hit really close to me yet until this week.
Tell us about it.
All right, so you know, last year when I started my little martial arts kick, there was a woman in one of the martial arts classes, nice lady. She started a little after me, but basically the same time. So we were kind of coming up through the ranks, if you will, together. And then part of the way, halfway through December or so, she quit showing up. Nobody really knows what happens. And then this week rolls around and we have a meeting and they say, hey, this person's going to be coming back maybe, but she is now he. And we just want to prepare y'all. We're not certain that that's what she wants to do, but if she does decide, just know there's a new name and this female is now male. So I got to sit back and I go, okay, this is weird for me. You know, and y'all, I've done martial arts with men and women, and some of them can flat out kick my ass. Like there's no shame in that. I have no problem with it. As far as I know, they have no problem with it, but I just don't know where I'm at with this, and I'm really struggling with it.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest thing these days is that.
And so it's like, where are you accepting from a distance? Like, okay, I'm okay with the lifestyle you've chosen because it doesn't directly affect me.
On the TV screen or the computer
Or in another state,
Yeah.
or across town, or, you know, we're not hanging out in the same places. We don't have the same circle of friends, but now it's right in front of me and I'm going, I'm not sure what to do with this. And I mean, I'm a pretty open-minded, accepting guy. I believe in, you know, love the sinner, hate the sin
Right.
kind of deal,
Sure.
right? Accept them and you know, let everything else work itself out. But this is going to be tough.
Yeah.
This is going to be tough. So, I mean, we're practicing martial arts techniques. I would perform those techniques differently on you than I would Shelly.
Right. Sure. Well, that's what I was about to say. You're not in a bowling league.
Yeah.
You're not playing tennis. You're having to touch and to,
Sure.
you know, I don't know what the words are, but
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah. Now, she's going to be in my changing room.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not threatened by any means. I don't think there's no sexual thing here. I mean, it's just is what it is. Like,
But I don't think it has to be, you know, whether you're sexual or, you know, even the connotation from the aspect of it walking in the room or however they want to be addressed. It seems like that, and we wanted to label folks like that years ago that they were sick. They had mental problems.
mm-hmm.
And then it became, well, no, they don't. They just identify different. Of course, that became this whole thing. Now I identify as, a man dressing up. I mean, dressing up as a woman, or a woman dressing as a man, or we used to call them, butches, or feminine man, or whatever the terms. I'm sure if I go too far, then I offend somebody. So we'll try to stay reframed. Through the years, there's always been that. But today, to your point, it's not the same. And how, what if your son or your daughter, I mean, I don't know. It's just, it really is put you in a predicament. In my opinion.
Do you realize what they've done? They've contradicted themselves. I was born like this. I don't control this. This is not a choice.
Right.
But now I identify.
Right.
Which is, the definition of choosing.
Sure.
I identify as a biker. I wasn't born a biker. I identify as a biker, right? It's kind of interesting, the language, the choice of language.
Yeah.
And how we've gotten to this point. And it seems like the liberals and the people pushing this
agenda
onto us, and I'm with DJ. This kind of, you do you, if you want to identify as a sack of potatoes, go for it. Knock yourself out. I find that ridiculous and frustrating because I have a son growing up in this world. But you do you. It's kind of like the thing with the helmets and the seatbelts. And the minute you start forcing me, you start spoon feeding me, then we're taking it too far. Anyway, I just want to interject that just the language of it. And now we identify as, just underscores the choice behind it.
Well, we went for so many years where the gay and the lesbian groups, argued that they were born.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I guess that could be, if there's a such thing as a legitimate argument, maybe it could be. There was never a fight and an argue where they wanted to change their genitals, or identify, even though they may have dressed more tomboyish or, whatever. But today, in the last really 4 years, maybe 5 years, it seems to have taken an exit off the interstate and gone in a direction that I don't know that anyone who helps define what DEI is or affirmative action was prepared for. Because that is, I guess, the ultimate question, DJ. You asked it earlier in our conversation. What does that mean? What does equality or diversity or inclusion, what all does that, my boy's mom, we were married for 22 years. She's in HR. She does human resources employment law. She eats and breathes and sleeps that stuff every day. And I tell her often if conversation ever goes in that direction, that I can't imagine what she's going through today. Mm-hmm. For the most part, she's a conservative woman, but, you can't have conservative views or liberal views. You can't have any views when you're in, that type of position.
Neutral.
Sweden,
Switzerland.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know.
It's
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Tough. I mean, in that room full of people, I'm not so naive as to believe that everybody in there has the same worldview that I have, or that we're all, like-minded in that manner. We're not. I know certainly we're not. But there's a difference in, I voted Republican and he voted Democrat, and now we're going to wrestle.
Yeah.
It just doesn't come up, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, we still respect one another.
Sure.
But man, and y'all don't get me wrong. The hardest part for me through this will be getting the name straight. Like I will have to have a conversation with she about it and say, look, I apologize. You were that other person for a long time, and it's going to take a little while for me to adjust, but I will.
So Jeanette's now John?
Something similar. Yeah. But the struggle for me is like, how far do you let it go before you go, you know, when I was in school, boys weren't allowed to have hair that touched their collars because it might be distracting to other students.
Yep.
You couldn't have your hair dyed, you know, this color or this color because it might be a distraction, or piercings or whatever.
Couldn't have holes
and
in the
now
blue
it's
jeans.
just like, it doesn't matter.
Come as you are,
Yeah.
or as you want to be.
Whatever you want to be. And I think that's the part that I'm struggling with, is at some point, like, you're imposing what you believe in your worldview and your openness on everybody else and expecting them to just accept it. Whereas if I was imposing my worldview on you and asking you to accept it, you would be very staunch against that.
Sure.
Oh, you'd right.
Exactly. And
Well,
I think
and
that's the part that bugs me about the whole thing, is it's in my face and I've got to suck it up and take it, or exit that arena
Find somewhere else to
train.
Yeah.
And
And this is a privately owned
why
business,
is that
right?
equitable to me?
This is a privately owned business, right?
It is yes.
So the business is making the choice to be inclusive like this. Are they? I wonder if they're concerned about losing customers. I mean,
They won't address something like that until it needs to be addressed.
Right.
In other words, if they start leaving, then they'll address it. They're not going to tell him no, because they're probably hoping that they don't have to.
yeah,
Here's the thing. So
I get your frustration over
I
it, buddy.
talked to. It's been a couple of years ago. I talked to a friend of mine, umpire friend of mine actually. He's African American, black, whatever. I don't know what's politically correct these days. And this was the words out of his mouth. And I have heard this being discussed online in social media camps and surroundings with the gays and lesbians. No trans and all that mess. They fought hard to find themselves a place. A gospel song will come out many years ago called "Finding My Place in This World." Women fought hard. Blacks fought hard. Gays, lesbians, they fought hard to find a place. And now with all of this, my granddad used to say rubbish. It's confusing stuff. All this, they feel demeaned. They feel it's a slap in the face to them. Now, I'm the one saying it, and of course I'm not naming names of the ones I have spoken with, but it's out there. They're not happy with the attention getters that are looking for, I want to be a 17-year-old male and compete in women's sports and win a championship. They don't understand that. Some will probably say they do or attempt to blend in and follow along, but many do not.
Because I identify as a squirrel, the same intent from affirmative action should pass to me.
That's right.
Because we're the same.
That's right. But we had to change that to the whole modern terminology of diversity, equality, and inclusion to bring in the extra letters on the end of, the LBG. Because the LBG was the original.
Yeah.
3 versions. I'm choosing my words correctly here.
I see your wheels turning.
That's why I'm speaking slowly.
Looks painful.
But, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not an expert on this, so, I guess if you feel need to correct me, please do. But they were and then we changed the affirmative action to another acronym or to another terminology so we can add letters and just keep going. And before long, we're going to have 26 of them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I will say this. I'm going to speak here from several years ago, I was pastoring the church and saw somebody down the street one day. I had been working at the church and went down to get me a drink or something. I don't remember what. Anyway, hey, I know you. You're shook hands, got a name. Well, I would come down there, but I'm gay. Like, that's almost a quote. Now, that's been 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why does being gay stop you from coming? Well, people pass judgment and all this kind of stuff. I said, well, I ain't going to lie. There'll probably be some there that will. I said, but our name of our church was Family Worship Center. I said, it says Family Worship Center. It doesn't say, anti-gay assembly place or whatever. I said, if you want to come to church, I said, you come to church. Yeah. You come and tell you, I'll come meet you at the door. We'll walk in together. Mm-hmm. What would have happened after that? Well, my prayer would have been that he found God, and then him and God can work all that out. Mm-hmm. But the whole premise of I'm not allowed in that club is what has created the monster of people shoving it down our throats, because we're in the club of humanity. And I don't want to use the word normal because people hate that these days, but we're in the club of Americans, male and female. We work hard. We try to make a living for our families. We want to be happy, take a vacation every now and then, put our kids through college, grow old, and die. All right? That's not good enough for some of these people. They need to stick a stick in that pot, stir it up, and make us like and live and be among what they call normal or everyday. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm opposed to that. I just am.
It's those lines between, all right, are we going to allow it? Are we going to tolerate it? Are we going to accept it? And then are we going to encourage it?
Right.
And that's where it gets blurry for me a lot of times. Does accepting it translate into encouraging it?
Technically, I would probably say yes,
maybe,
but
no. I think you can separate the emotion out of it. I think you can accept it because it's going to happen. Whether our conversation is not going to spark a movement that eliminates, the LGBTQ movement or all that. But you can certainly separate your emotion from it and go, as long as it doesn't mess with my world, have at it.
But it could, and it has.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, 100%. But I can still, I can raise my son to understand truth and make choices for himself. And then, then your hands off and you just got to go, Jesus, take the wheel.
Yeah.
Hope you make good choices. But I can certainly remove, I don't have to be offended by it. I can choose to not be offended.
Sure.
And I can choose to take the emotion out of it. Now, put me in a situation like DJ's about to walk into, and I'm gonna ask the same questions. I'm gonna struggle the same way because now it's stepped into my world and I have to deal with it.
So the question would be, and I would imagine, DJ, you've probably talked about this and try to figure out what is your answer. But, they are allowed to do what they're doing as far as, hey, John Doe of, so-and-so dojo, I'm coming down I want to be a part of, but hey, I have some news for you. Mm-hmm. Well, it would have been nice if at that point he would have been able to say, I think it would be best if you found another, but that's not doable in this day and time.
Right.
So he calls a group together and he tells you guys that it's coming. Didn't ask for your vote or opinion, I'm assuming. He says it's coming. So where do we step back and get to draw a line that says you get to state your feeling and opinion about it?
Yep.
Now that side has come forward. He, whatever, has made their transition, and they're moving, but we don't get that chance.
Strong point.
That's the thing.
Strong point.
That's the thing. So if you do make, and I'll use the term we used to tell our kids growing up, if you do make a scene, then I'm talking about you as an individual. I'm not talking about you and some
I'm
others
the
like
bigot.
you. You're the bigot,
You
and
are.
you will be asked to leave, potentially.
Yeah.
We can't win. Not
I don't know.
Not the way the rules are written.
That's been my struggle for a few days and been on my mind because it's something I've been faced with. And at the end of the day, I do feel like we had a friendship prior to her transition that would enable me to be frank with her and say, this is new for me, and I'm going to try my best to treat you as I would anybody else. In her mind, she may think she is a man. In the judo arena, you are mistaken.
I mean, yeah.
And so, like, I've got to, and y'all don't take, my intent's not to, I'm going to prove a point, slam them down to the mat. It's not that. It's just.
Video that, if you will, for me.
That just, like, what's their expectation?
Well, that wouldn't be the point overall.
But I do think
at some
I
point,
can be open enough to say, okay, what's your expectation? Like,
sure. And there's two ways that this person could walk in. This person could walk in and go, don't worry about it. I know it. It's probably not easy. Don't worry about it. If
Absolutely.
you make a slip up, it's all cool. And they could walk in and go, I'm sorry. What did you just say to me?
Exactly.
By God, I'm not that anymore. You will call me this and blah, blah, blah. Well, I need my safe space.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the world we live in.
And maybe all this concern that I've got is premature and it's not that deep. And I hope it is. And I think we're mature enough adults that it should be.
I like your optimism.
Yeah.
And it may be about that one situation, but in general, in our world today, it's a perpetual, ongoing problem, and going to be. There's no way John Woody could have sat here during this conversation. He would have had to have got up and excluded himself, or we wouldn't have been able to have it due to his employment, nor my ex's, obviously. But at the same time, I would love to have gotten both of their feedback from the large corporate world, because I know folks out there and I hear them talk behind the lines, and yeah, it's a nightmare daily.
There's potential that by asking the questions, you initializing that conversation,
Creating dialogue.
yeah, that'll create just an even deeper layer of respect. Because anybody that knows you knows there's not a malice bone in your body. You have no ill will toward anybody. And, I mean, you're inclusive.
I mean, I like to think that I am.
Yeah, you are, of course. And
I mean,
people see that.
there's a look.
And I think someone would respect that, hey, okay, look, there's been some changes now. We've been made aware. Like, help me, educate me, if you will. How do you want me to address you? We start sparring, things can, I think just bringing that up, approaching that conversation from, hey, you don't even have to say, I don't agree with this, but help me understand. I think that's going to go a long way.
And then it could be just the opposite. Why are you talking about it? It's
No,
none of your
won't be.
business. Let me do what I want to do. You do what you want to do, and we'll figure it all
Yeah,
out.
why aren't you even bringing it up?
Yeah,
But if you were,
if this is an attention-seeking individual, and they did this because there's something missing in their life, yeah, that's how that's going to turn out.
yeah,
I can promise you that.
But-
But if they're just, I don't know how this needs to come out. So let me close my eyes and think. If they changed it because it was for them and it was something they just felt like they needed to do, and it was, I'm going to use the word sincere, then yeah, maybe it's no big deal, and maybe they address it and move on. It's like, yeah.
and DJ is keen enough. He's aware enough. He can discern that in the moment.
Yep.
Yep. I agree.
Lots of things over the years and decades. So, well, we're soon going to be 250. We'll be 250 years old next year. July 4th, 2026. America will be 256 years old. 250 years old.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we've come a long ways, and a lot of good things. We may have taken one step forward and two steps back in some other areas. But as a civilization, if you read history books, and that includes the Bible, things like this in some capacity have been going on since the beginning of time.
Oh, of course.
Well,
there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. I mean, Sodom and Gomorrah, Jericho, Old Testament cities in the Bible, they were just full of
Craziness.
different people.
Craziness.
Different people. So it's just now we are entered into a part of the world where it seems like that society has given these types of people a lot of boldness
And a platform.
to scream from the mountaintop that they need you to like and love who and what they are. And I think that's where I have to draw the line. I really do. As an individual, do what makes you happy. Do your thing. Like you said, guys said earlier, do you.
Yeah, please do.
But when it starts to bleed over on me and you've got to see me like it, and if I don't like it, that just upsets you, then we have a problem. I don't know. All right.
Man.
Where are we at?
Come up
How
for
much time
air.
we got left?
Well, we've been about an hour.
Yeah, about an hour.
So that's it. So we let's do a little nugget here on kind of on a little bit brighter note
Yeah.
to end
End on a
it.
different
That's
note.
right. What was that you said, Chris? When we were going back and forth with ideas, DJ said the DEI, and then you said something else. I didn't want to overlook that. So if that's there, let's use that. If not, I've got something.
Let's look at that text. Randy and DJ.
He's dead. I hate that.
Yeah. Where did dang.
I had mentioned, what is it to be a biker?
Yeah, we talked about that.
I know we talked about packing and traveling and kind of what you normally take, and
Which one was it? So yeah.
awkward silence on the podcast, but they're looking at their phone over here, trying to find some stuff. I'll play some music here or cut this out.
The DEI stuff, of course, and the motorcycle culture. Do you have to be a biker? What's the difference between a biker and a rider? And future, like the future of riding, the future of motorcycle culture. That was
So
and that's probably a much longer.
the future of
conversation.
Harley Davidson, maybe, and when I was giving that some consideration, and then I mentioned earlier the lower fairings that I like.
Yes.
I do think that the lines they're going for.
So did they modify those? Because I didn't. I haven't noticed that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they bought the patent from Indian, but
What?
striking resemblance to an Indian. But yeah, the lowers are different, but they've got harder lines that look a little more modern-esque.
Did they at least give the? Oh, I see it.
And I like them.
Did they at least put the new tank on this one? Oh, wait, they
I
put the
think
new
so.
fairing and everything on there.
Yeah.
See, I didn't see that before. Okay, so the new tank has the new lines. You got new fairing. What the? Those fairings. It looks like a gold wing from the front.
It does, and even the bat wing, like it gives the resemblance of a fixed fairing.
See, they come out with that Whiskey Fire Vivid Black and even the Limited, but they didn't do it in the Breakout.
He is salty. You know they can paint bikes.
Should already be painted. That's not bad looking. I did not realize that because last year the Ultra Limiteds were the old.
Yeah.
It didn't have the new lines on the tank and the fairing and the bags, and so what does that look like?
I haven't gotten a chance to see one of these in person yet. I was hoping to make it by showroom today, and I didn't. But I do feel like the new Ultra. They cleaned up the rear end a little bit. They got rid of the speaker pods. They sharpened the points on the lowers a little bit. I do think they're trying to appeal to
Got the newer fender on the front tire.
A new generation. I don't even want to say younger because the guys that are driving the Ultra Classics now bought these bikes when they were my age, but.
I mean, so looking at the tour pack, is that a detachable tour pack?
It is not. It is fixed.
Because they put it on there like it's detachable with the no speakers, no arm or no full backside.
Yeah.
Backrest.
But apparently this Ultra comes in cheaper than the outgoing Ultra Limited. So you get the highlights of the Ultra Limited, but I guess they're able to lower the price without, you lose the lights on the tour pack, you lose the speakers.
Are there speakers in the lowers?
There's not radiators and stuff in the lowers anymore.
Is that a speaker?
I don't think so. I still think the only speakers you're going to get is going to be in the fairing, in the front fairing.
Interesting.
So I don't know if they're hitting the mark yet or not, but I do think it is a more sporty looking Ultra that should target a younger audience.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
based on what I'm looking at.
Yeah, the future of biking culture, biker culture. We should probably say that. That's a much longer conversation, at least the way I'm hearing it.
Yes,
in my head, and we'll probably touch on some of those things like how Harley and others are incorporating things into their lineups to try to grab attention. Yeah. Like everything else, I've got an opinion on that I don't know. We'll see when we talk about it. You guys may disagree with me entirely.
Yeah, maybe we'll dive off into that on the next one. But I think they're evolving a little bit, I guess, maybe in some things they're doing.
and they need to.
Yeah, it's time. But I can tell you, like with anything else, I mean, evolving, but putting a price tag on evolving is not going to go over well. I know that there has to be some, all right? We get that. It's no different than, I've got a 2-year-old, 10-year-old truck, whatever. I mean, if I go buy a new one, well, there comes the price tag comes with that. And I get that. But last year some of the bikes went down $2,000, and this year they came back up $2,000. Well, they just wanted to give a year off. I mean,
Yeah, I honestly, I do think it's a new model, and we need to entice people and get some of them out on the road, because this new look's going to take some time to grow on people. And it has. It's worked for me. When they first came out with the new, what was it, 23.5 models, I was not in love with them. But now you start seeing them out on the roads, and you see them in the rides, and you're going, I see the appeal.
Well, and people are doing stuff to them, which also adds to it. So you, like you said, they can paint a bike, so people are, the Platinum was one that nobody really liked it. Whiskey Fire that year, Harley had a Gunslinger do it, but Harley themselves painted the Platinum one. So everybody was taking the Platinum one, and even the dealers were taking them and having them painted to customize them up a little bit.
Yeah.
But some of these look pretty good. So yeah, I think they've got the Blue Burst, which they've had a blue around similar to that royal blue look for a while. So really the Whiskey Fire and Vivid Black. But one of the big things that they've changed is they went back to offering chrome, because that's something they got away from.
Yeah. Randy's currently considering whether he wants a new one or not.
No, never know. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. There's always a maybe. All right, guys.
Sign us off.
It is, this will be out by the time this comes out. It will be February the 3rd. We are supposed to have a good weekend coming up, so maybe next week we'll get to talk about some riding that we do. We're actually going to see in the 70s supposedly. Don't know how that's going to go over, but hopefully wherever you are, you're seeing some good weather and getting an opportunity to ride. Go do a hobby. Go play golf, tennis, fish, jiu-jitsu, whatever it is you do. Enjoy life. Be happy. Raise a family. Whatever you want to do. Just love one another. Say something supporting. Give a compliment to someone. God bless you. Love each one of you. Take care until the next time.